So, hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's KLFX here, back with another market outlook video, right? So, in today's video, we will look at some of the moves that, some of the opportunities that we may actually see in the week ahead. And let's start with EUR-USD, right? Because there's something quite interesting in this pair. Pretty much I just trade EUR-USD and Aussie dollar throughout the week. But I also make sure I send some sort of outlooks on other pairs for the students. But let's start from EUR-USD, right? Let's just go to the daily time frame, and let's just understand EUR-USD right here, right? So what we're seeing is that price actually had tapped a yearly bullish order block. I think you guys have seen on the previous market outlook videos, we always looked at the yearly that yearly bullish point of interest. So price actually tapped here, then it provided us a daily change of character right here, right? Pretty much we just had this previous structure high, low, and then price had some sort of reaction in this supply zone, and then we had fail, or price pretty much failed to take out this previous low, pulled back, and then we had a break of structure, right? So some people call this to be a supply to demand flip, and we had these two POIs right here sitting below, but price just kept on going all the way up, right? So it left some sort of void, right? I mean, it's something that I'll try to make a video on it specifically because it's something very important when it comes to mitigations, right? Whenever you have something like this and you have the order block and price, let's say price just pulls back and continues to break structure to the upside, it's just leaving this huge void. Most of the times what happens is that this is just a buildup of liquidity. Then we may see price coming down to fill that void and then continue towards the upside, right? So just a simple step on void filling. It's a concept on smart money, of smart money concepts, right? So then we had this break of structure right here. Break, we can see that we had a nice mitigation. Then we had a second break of structure. We can see the price left so much, I mean, imbalances right here, right? So I'm pretty much expecting price to pull back, right? I will consider that this low could be used as an inducement for price to come all the way down here, and then we have a continuation to the upside. And this would be price filling all this void and imbalances sitting below, because we had just this huge impulsive move to the up towards the upside. They ended up taking this previous swing high, right? So if I go down, for example, to 4 hour, I think we're more likely to see why I think this may be used as inducement, right? So let me just use this line right here, and if we use this trend line, if we form this trend line, we can see that price pretty much tapped here, I mean, more than 6 times, right? So this is a very, it's a zone where there's so many orders sitting below here. So I'm expecting to see EU actually breaking towards breaking those lows and coming all the way down here. We can see the huge imbalances sitting below. So price is just building up liquidity. So we're more likely to see that bearish continuation to the downside. But also, I still consider that we had this 4 hour break of structure. We have a refined order block here. I think I refined on 2 hours time frame. That's right, this down candle before the up move. We had some little bit of inefficiencies below. So what happened is that throughout the week, when I came into the markets, I think I dropped down to 30 minutes time frame. And so what we saw was this break of structure. We had the mitigation, right? Provided as invalidation point. Then we had the second break. Price had a point of interest right here. Price came, we had this pretty much 15 minute change of character within this hourly range, high and low, right? Price came back, and now we're actually seeing price coming towards this point of view. So I'm expecting price to really come towards that daily point of interest, right? So this is a very, very significant zone. I'm pretty sure we may see price using this low as an inducement and come to this POI, and then we have the move towards the upside. So this is just the simple, I mean, the outlook that I have for EUR-USD. So let's move to another pair. Here we are on Aussie dollar, and as we've seen on the previous videos, right, price came to this weekly point of interest, right? They have left imbalance, so price came here, tapped perfectly, and pushed all the way to the upside, right? But if we look here at to the right, we can see that we had this break, mitigation, second break. So this was a nice bearish order flow right here. And on the weekly time frame, price is still bearish, right? If we look at the structure in this order flow right here, the price action is still bearish. I would start to think, I will say that, okay, in order for me to be bullish from the weekly time frame, I need to see price breaking above this previous high, right? So far, price pretty much on lower time frame just weaked above this invalidation line. So let me just go down to daily time frame. We had this very refined daily point of interest above. So we had the break mitigation, second break, price came to the extreme. And if we look at daily, right, we can see that we had this high, then price made this low, and then finally broke structure to the upside. So the daily is still bullish, and the range is still this daily range, range low, and we have this range high. So I'm expecting to see some pullback towards 50%, which actually coincides with this point of interest here, or below 50%, or around 61.8, which will coincide with this point of interest at the extreme. So if I drop down to the 4-hour time frame, yeah, we can see that we had this week, right? This week swept the previous candle's week and then pushed to the upside, and it was the decisional sell before the up move that went on to take this previous structure high, as well as we have this extreme sitting below, right? So price came above. I saw that price was struggling to close above this invalidation line. So this was just a sign of bullish sentiment in the market depleting, and maybe sellers stepping into the markets to take out these previous lows. So I dropped down to the 30 minutes time frame. And on the 30 minutes, we saw the same thing. Price was just, we had these multiple attempts right here, just build the liquidity. Price swept all that liquidity, but it failed to close above, right? And then we had this break of structure to downside, taking this low. Price came back to mitigate the order block. And now we're starting to provide this bearish order flow within this range, this hourly range high and low, right? So we have this M15 bearish structure right here. Price came to the extreme or the block, and now it's coming down, right? So that's what I'm expecting next week to happen on Aussie dollar, is to sell all the way down to take out these previous lows and come towards this point of interest sitting below. We have two POIs, right? So that's just the outlook for the Aussie dollar. Let's move to another page. Now, GU is quite interesting, what's going on in GU, because from the previous videos, we had this POI sitting above right here, right? Which is that's the weekly point of interest. And price just tapped that, and we had this very significant pullback, right? Which was a very good reaction, pretty much showing that this supply zone is quite significant. So once price tapped there, well, for example, let's just drop down to daily time frame. We can see that the structure was bullish, right? Right here, the structure was pretty much bullish. Price was breaking, mitigating, breaking. But then we had this change of character right here. And so price, what I needed to see in order for me to be bearish, even from the daily time frame, I needed to see price actually coming towards this order block right here, right? And then continue to move to the downside, taking out these lows. That's when I would think that, okay, maybe long term, we're about to be bearish, right? But so far, price came to this extreme or bullish order block and started to push towards the upside, even violating this previous order block high, right? And so if I drop down to the 4-hour, we can see that price actually had broke structure here to the upside. Then it failed to close above. So that's, again, sign of bullish sentiment in the market depleting. That's why we had sellers coming with this huge momentum to the downside. And they came to this order block right here. So for me, up to this point, I'm still kind of bullish, right? Because price came here. Now, price, then I had a point of interest sitting above. I think I was able to find this on the 2 minutes or 30 minutes time frame. So price actually had broken this structure right here. The first POI that I had was this one right here that I'd sent even on the free Telegram group. And I also had this refined one up here. So price blessed through this one and came to the extreme right here. So once price got there, I dropped down to 30 minutes time frame. So on the 30 minutes time frame, Let me just come. Okay, on the 30 minutes time frame, we can see something interesting here. Is that we had this previous high, then we had this low. Price made this new high, then pulled back and then created this high, but it failed to close above. That's again sign of bullish sentiment and the market depleting, right? Because price is failing to close above that previous high. So then what happened? Sellers came in strong, broke structure, created the change of character. Then it came back to mitigate this order block that were responsible for the change of character. And it provided us what? Invalidation, because we had then the next second break of structure. So up to this point in 30 minutes time frame, the bearish order flow was confirmed with these two breaks of structures. Price came to extreme order block right here that I refined, and then started to push towards the downside. And we can see that pretty much it just created, just engineered liquidity right here. We have some relative equal lows right here. We had one tap, second tap. So I'm expecting GU to come. Maybe I'm seeing some reaction here. We can see this huge V-shaped recovery, right? Which is a nice bearish reaction right here. So we're more likely to see price coming down, taking out these lows, and we will see if price will turn bearish for the long term, right? But on the 30 minutes time frame, the overall structure is bearish, but on the daily, we're still kind of bullish, right? So that's it for GU. Let's move to another pair. So here we are on New Zealand dollar, and just by looking at New Zealand dollar from the weekly time frame, I think it's quite simple to see that the structure, overall structure, is still bearish, right? We just had this break, mitigation, this pullback, then a second break. Price used this high as inducement. That's why it came towards this extreme order block that was still kind of on the lower time frame, such as 4 hour, it was still unmitigated, right? Even though it mitigated the weekly, right? Because before, once price was here, I had considered this to be the mitigation right here, right? But there was actually a refined point of interest on 4 hour that was still left and mitigated. That's why we had this reaction. Once price tapped here, we had this nice pullback. So I will drop down to daily time frame. And so from the daily time frame, we can see that we had this break, mitigation, second break all the way up here, and price came to the extreme order block that was left unmitigated. Then it continued to push to the upside. He ended up violating this previous high. It failed to close above. That's again a sign of bullish sentiment that the market depletes. So we can see the relationship between EU, AU, GU, and New Zealand dollar. All of them are pretty much having this struggle to close above, and then we're seeing the sellers stepping into the markets, right? So if I drop down to the 4 hour time frame, what I had on 4 hours is that, okay, New Zealand, if we look at it from a swing structure perspective, or New Zealand dollar is still bullish, right? Because we had this previous high, then we had this low. This high was finally broken with a body right here with this move. So he created this high, and this was the low that was the decisional low responsible for the break of this high. But the swing is still right here. So we had this low and then high. Price came here, mitigated the order block, and continued to push to the upside. But guess what's happening? Price is failing to close above that high, right? It's struggling to go above this previous high. So we can see that, okay, at this particular point, price is, the bullish sentiment is depleting, right? So I dropped down to 30 minutes time frame. So on the 30 minutes time frame, this actually is the hourly range, actually 1 hour. Yeah, that's right. So price actually came here. If we look at it, we had this previous swing high, then we had swing low, then we had this high, then we had the low right here. Then price created this high but failed to close above. Then price took out this low. What happened is that we had price actually coming back to this point of interest, right? And soon price actually got there. I would drop down to 30 minutes time frame. And we can see that there is a refine. I think this is on an M15. Yeah, I think it was refined on 10 minutes. Let me just see. Maybe 5. All right. So yeah, we had this point of interest sitting above right here. I think we can see a very clean OB on 2 minutes or some, but this was the M15 change of character that we had within the hourly range, right? So we had this nice M15 change of character. Price came to the extreme order block, and now we're seeing price actually respected the supply and started to push to the downside. So what I'm still expecting to see here on M15 is price to take out this previous low, so then it can confirm that bearish order flow, right? Because so far on the hourly, we had a change of character, and we know change of character is not a confirmation of trend shift, right? It's just the first sign. So also on M15, we had a change of character. So we need to see price actually taking out this M15 and then take out this previous low right here. So that's when on the hourly, we will be bearish, right? The bearish order flow will be established. So that's it for New Zealand dollar. Let's move to another pair. Now, USD-CAD. USD-CAD is a pair that I really like. Really like this pair. It has a nice price action. It moves quite quickly. But recently, it's just been, I mean, it's quite consolidating a little bit, right? Price came towards this monthly supply zone. Let me just go back to the monthly time frame real quick. And we can see that price made this low, then it failed to create a previous high, because if we look at it from the left, we had this previous high, low, and then price created this high. So then price pulled back to the extreme order block right here, and then it continued to the upside. So our expectation was to see USD-CAD taking out this previous monthly high to continue the bullish order flow. What happened? Price struggled to break above. So bullish sentiment was depleting. Sellers came in strong, ended up taking what? This low right here. So we had the monthly change of character. So we had the monthly change of character. We have the supply zone right here at the extreme. That's where price came. And we expected to see USD-CAD taking out this monthly low right here, right? That's just the long-term outlook on UCAD from the monthly time frame. So we drop down to the daily time frame. What I'm still seeing is that, okay, price technically had this previous high, then the low, and then this swing high was taken right here, but this strong move all the way to the monthly supply zone. So the daily is still kind of bullish, right? I think I would say, let me just go to the weekly. I think, yeah, I would say that the weekly time frame is still bullish, right? So we can clearly see that we had this high, low, and then we had this swing high right here. So the weekly is still bullish. But if we drop down to the daily time frame, we can see that once price tapped this monthly supply zone, we had this high, low, and then we had the tap. Then price created a change of character. We have a POI right here, and now we have this internal structure price action. We're still waiting to price to take out this daily previous low and continue to move to the downside towards our weekly bullish order block, right? So I will only start to be long-term bearish once I see price taking out this weekly low right here, right? That's when it's done, right? We're just totally bearish. But from the daily time frame, we are bearish, right? So we drop down to 4-hour time frame. Is that what happened is that price had broken structure right here. We had two POIs. We had this one right here. There was a supply zone hidden on lower time frames here. And I also had this at the extreme because this candle was higher than the previous candle. So that was a liquidation point of interest, right? But price came to the 50% of this range low and high and started to drop to the downside. Now, right here, I have two point of interest. I have this one right here, and the reason for that is because this high right here swept liquidity that was sitting at this previous structure high, right? So, and then it broke structure. There is a possibility that my price may pull back all the way up here, and then we have a continuation. But also, right, that's the extreme one. But also we had the same thing happening here. Price swept liquidity from this previous structure high, and then went on to break, and it was the decisional last buy for the sell that ended up taking this swing daily low, right? So we have 2 points of interest here. There's a possibility that price may start to pull back all the way up, right, towards this, and then we have a continuation to the downside, or it may come all the way up here, and then we have a continuation to the downside. So these two are two valid points of interest to trade from, right? So once price taps those 4 hour, I'll be looking for M15 change of character in both, to see if we have that confirmation that price is ready to continue towards the downside, right? So that's it for USD-CAD. Let's move to the last pair. So the last pair that we will actually do a outlook on will be US 30, right? I think that's the common last pair that we usually look at. And if we look at what's going on and with the US-30 is US-30 just had, I think it was around September 2022, had a mitigation of this bullish monthly order block, right? So we can see that we had this high, low, and then we had this decisional low that finally ended up taking this previous high. So price created this range. I mean, the swing structure, right, is still this one, and we have this high, right? So, but we had this decisional low right here. So we're still considering that this to be the range low right now, right? And this is the high. So everything that is happening here is just that pull back towards this order block, and we're expecting to see a continuation towards the upside, right? So that's just by looking at structure, right? So what happened is that price tapped this monthly order block. We will drop down to the weekly time frame, right? So on the weekly time frame, once price taps at our monthly order block, we have the weekly change of character. We have two POIs on the weekly. We have this one, the decisional down candle before the up move that finally took out this previous high, and we also have this one sitting below. We can see that we have what imbalances right here. So that's a valid point if price decides to come down and then continue to move towards the upside. But right now, price is kind of reacting at the second order block. And so once price tapped here, actually we find this point of interest on the daily time frame right here to this fair value gap zone right here, right? So once price taps that a daily point of interest, usually I like to drop down to 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame, I will be looking for a change of character. What happened is the price came here. We had this low, we had this high, and then we had this low. Price broke previous high, mitigated the first order block that provided what? The invalidation. Then we had the second break of structure. So 2 breaks of structures was formed right here. So the bearish order flow was established on the 4-hour. The bullish order flow right here was established. So price came back to this point of interest. So this point of interest I even had sent on the, if we look at the previous outlook, we had this point of view. So we can see that it's working out perfectly as we had forecasted. So price came here and now is pushing towards the upside. So the expectation is to see price actually continue the bullish order flow to take out this previous high and continue all the way up, right? So what I would recommend for anyone that trades US-30, let's drop down to hourly, is that we just had this break of structure right here of this previous high, finally right here. And we can see that this low had swept liquidity that was sitting below on this previous low. So it's quite a significant point of interest right here, right? This could be the extreme, and price can use this point of interest to fill this void right here, right? So you may see price coming down and then it continue to move to the upside. Or we may see some sort of reaction at this point of interest because this one also swept liquidity before it pushed towards the upside, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if price came towards all the way down here to this point of interest because it swept liquidity, right? And then it continues to push towards the upside, right? So I would recommend to monitor these 2 points of interest right here, right? This one, because it swept liquidity, then it broke structure. This one as well, swept liquidity, then it engineered the move that ended up taking this previous high. So they're quite significant point of interest that I would recommend to keep an eye on. And then you can wait, you can drop down to M15 and wait for the confirmation to take the trade, right? So that's it for these videos, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the market outlook video. If you guys like the video, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you like the video, right? Smash the like button for me. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Feel free to join my Telegram group. If you're interested in joining my private community, right, where we actually teach people how to become consistently profitable and pass their challenges, get funded, feel free to let me know. And I'll see you guys on the next one.